Hello everyone, it's Ginger here and welcome back to another painting video. This time not necessarily with pastels, but there will be some involved. And I am wanting to do a bigger version of this. So this was the sketch that you guys saw in one of my sketch videos, and now I want to translate this into a bigger painting. I'm using the Lambeth cartridge paper that I bought, so this is 370 GSM, so it's very thick. It's also significantly bigger, so let me see, I've got a painting hanging around here a minute. Come here. So this one is 70 by 50. So you can see it's a bit of an upscale on the difference between the two. So let's put this one back. So this is going to be mixed media. So I've got my fine liners, I've got my Neocolour IIs, pastels, gouache, charcoal, scrapers, everything to hand. So it's going to be really fun to see how this is. I'm not going to prime this paper at all. I just want to see how well this is going to take it as is without actually having to prime anything. So the first thing I'm going to do is map out this structure with the fine liners. Then I'm going to apply water. That should let some of that ink spread, and then we'll let it dry. And then we can really start having some fun. So let's start off with our fine liners. As usual, I don't really have anywhere to put the sketch, so I'll be a bit back and forward. I need to pick a colour. Quite liked the orange actually. Let's see. That's a bit dry. These are so cheap and nasty, these things. Let's try this one. Yeah, that's kind of working. I don't know how well you guys are going to see it though. Could use the bright blue because the bright blue was working. Or how about the red? Something a bit more near. Oh, that'll work. Right, let's use the red. So, make sure you guys can see. I'm going to start in this corner and work that way. This is a bit squarer. I had to cut a section off, so actually this paper would have finished about here, and it would have been more rectangle, but I'd cut a section off to do some testing with. So now I've got a slightly odd shaped piece of paper, but you know what? Does it matter? No. The nice thing about working from the sketchbook rather than the actual photo is that there's going to be more mistakes in the shape and the structure rather than looking at perfectionism, because there's already differences between the photo and what we've got here, so that doesn't make any difference. Let's bring that to there. I think it's a slightly better curve, and then that can come into there. Like that. This also comes down to there. Alright, a lot of lines, as you can see. Now we're going to add a lot of water. Have some fun with this. I've got a spray bottle rather than a paintbrush. I don't know fully how much water this is going to take for this paper, but it's going to be interesting to see. Of course, because it's also upright rather than working on a sketchbook pointing down, all this will run down rather than along or across. I'm just trying to make sure that I get most of the areas so that the ink spreads. I just want it to give me a rough outline. I don't want, masses of lines everywhere. Because it will be really faint once it's dried. Right. That needs to dry. Once it's dry, then we can continue. Right, this is now dry enough to work on. So the next thing I usually like to work on is the sea, because it's a nice big area to block in and I want to be able to work the cliffs over the top of it. So I've got some of my Schminke Horodam. So this is the blue haze, the super granulating. I've just put a small amount on a tub lid, like so. And I have a super big brush. So we will use said super big brush, like that, and a large amount of water. preferably without getting it everywhere. Just gonna wet where the water is. Just let that soak in for a minute. And then we will go to town with this. So we want it darker in here. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to give that a little bit of spray. It should just move a little bit this a bit further around. Just give us some runs and some different shapes. You see it running? Like that. You can see here where it's not going to run down. Right, well that's having fun, so that's good. While that's having some fun and running all over the place, creating some interest, we will get some base colours down, I think, for this cliff. So it is a kind of pink colour. So we'll get some, I've got my Arteza gouache out, so we'll do some of this. Just kind of looking at what sort of colour I want to make with this. Mix it with a smaller brush. Throw my cloth on the floor for the millionth time. Oh, that's yeah, that's very pink. Let's put all that together. I might need a little, I think that's, what I'm making is currently too pink, so I'll show you. So that's the colour, and that's a little too pink. I need to warm it ever so slightly, so we'll just add some burnt sienna into that, and that should warm it up. Let's see how this goes, shall we? So we're only looking for where the cliff areas are and not where the grassy areas are. So for example, we've got cliff here. You start to see there's some of the yellow coming out of the horror dam, because it is a split colour one, so there'll be some colour in there coming out. This is where it's kind of darker down the bottom here, like that. I don't know what that is or why that's even done that, so we're just going to scrub that. That's not bad. Add a little water to the brush. And some of this, I just want to see, just want to get some splats in. Didn't really want to get them up in the sky, but never mind. It'll just add a little texture because it will move the pigment around, as you can see. So that's kind of the colours I've got. Yeah, it's still going very, it's still very green. It's a very strong green. Okay, big brush and a bit more water. And we are up in these areas. So yes, this will be very, this will look very bright. It will dry a bit lighter, so I'm not worried about it. Just kind of looking for where it actually goes. Not really fussed what direction I'm brushing in at the moment. It won't make much difference long term with all the stuff that's going over the top. But it's just good to try and just make sure we get some nice base colours down. And yes, I will use a bit more water and some splatting just to get some textures, because these are big blocks of colour. which obviously we want to be able to get some nice kind of colour shifts and stuff in. Where are you going? Excuse me. How's that looking? Like a fun mess on a giant scale. It's exactly what we want, right? That's now got to dry before we continue. So we'll come back to it when it's dry. Right, this is now pretty much completely dry. And you see we've got lots of different textures, the kind of more brush mark textures going this way with the water, and then the kind of running textures that we've got on the green, the pink for where the rocks are. So that's great. So what I want to do now is look a little bit more into the colours and really look at adding just some blocks of colour in. So I want another green, but I want a more yellow green. And I'm going to use a smaller brush. I want a smoother, smaller brush. I'm going to switch to this one, which is a lot smoother. You can see I've got the gold on. I'm just mixing it into where the green was, which will give it a slight green hint as well. Right. I think what I want to do is go and grab the Neo colours and start adding in some kind of darker areas onto the cliff shapes, just so that we can start building those shapes out and make them a little bit more obvious. So give me 1 second. Right, I've got the Neo colours. I'm just going to find somewhere to put those on my evergreen increasing art supply covered table. Right, and what colour am I going to look at first? I quite like, I've been really enjoying the indigo because it's a blue, purple, it's a dark, it's a gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous colour. But since then, I bought the dark set, and I now also have a dark plum purple. But actually, I think for this one, I want to stick with the blue. The kind of watery tones look really good. Also want to make sure, so this here, I need this to come back this way a bit. It's not quite where I want it. So I want that to come to here. Hopefully you guys can see where this is going now. we start to get these lines in and we start to get a little bit more texture, a little bit more depth, a little bit more contrast. So we've worked along this way. We've got this bit here, and I think this bit here needs to be a little bit darker. So we'll bring this back in with this. Notice how when it's with water, it actually is lighter, although it is a dark, it's a very saturated colour, but it is lighter. But notice how the actual crayon itself is actually darker when it's just that crayon. And yeah, so we want to, and we'll be bringing this out, probably bring it out a fair bit more actually than where we've got it. It is quite dark along here because we've got where the rock changes and kind of comes this way. I just want to bring that back a little bit more than what I've got it. To here. And also I'm going to change where this ends, and I want it to come that way a little bit more. So, right. Now, I've got two options. I can either use the brush or I can spray it. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to spray it. I'm going to keep hold of my cloth though, because I don't want it going too far. You see, as soon as it gets wet, it changes colour. Yep, there we go. There's what we didn't want, but that's fine because I can ensure that we don't go that way. But now it's wet, what I might do is brush it this way. Now look what's happening. Isn't it gorgeous? All that texture that we're getting in the water now. I mean, the brush is still damp, but not by much. So most of what we're seeing here is just how much the water can move all these different textures and shapes coming this way. Like that. What do we think, people? Do we like? It's definitely a lot nicer seeing it like that. I'm just going to step back a bit and see. Now, I don't normally work with neo pastels on a bigger piece, so this is really kind of me going, right, how well can I get this to work? What can I do with it? And this is just beautiful. So the answer is yes, you can get a lot with these. So there's a cut-in to the grass here, kind of like a weird section, but I wanted to include it just because it breaks up this block of grass. And then this, we go back to going up, with these lines going up. The other fact, I can just keep going back over this with the crayons, but it keeps adding more texture. Right, what I want to do is I want to spray down what we've got there on the cliffs. And like I said, I prefer spraying, and yes, it will run, but it's better. Also, if I don't spray too much, it should just dissolve and settle. See how the paper's pulling it in different directions? Oh, apart from that bit where we don't want that doing that. Excuse me, don't do that, please. We do want to keep you relatively where we've got you. I'm just pulling back some of where it's escaped, just for areas I want to really keep. That's the nice thing about this cartridge paper is it does soak up and spread, but it spreads in really organic lines. Like I said earlier, like kind of almost like veins or like roots, or like kind of how lightning kind of forks out when it hits something. So yeah, that's a bit better. Right, I need that to fully dry. It will unwarp once it does, and I don't know if you noticed that in between, but you'll notice that it kind of stops buckling once it dries, which is kind of what you want. This side's come undone slightly, so I'm just going to redo that. I'm seeing there. It's going, no, I do not want to do that. Right guys, we will leave that to dry and I'll come back to it tomorrow. Okay, we're back with a little bit more daylight, which will be helpful. And we've done most of the kind of base lines in the violet on here. So we're going to move over and do this section. So we've got quite a bit here, mostly following this line here. There's like a round boulder bit sticking out of the rock face here. Because our cliff face is coming this way. Okay, right, let's spray that. Grab a cloth and spray, and we will this stuff moves with ease, so yes, I'm gonna really work with this to keep this off. Take all that off, don't need that. What do I want to work on? Probably the green for a little bit and just bring some of that in. There isn't really much. You see, I didn't really put much effort into the grassy areas because I wanted most of the feature to be the rocks, which is fine. But I do want to kind of block in a little bit more colour. So it's fairly watery now. So I'm just looking at the sort of places where I'd expect to see this. So probably some of this around here. I'm going to put it on, but I'm going to use the cloth and then take it off again, if that makes sense. Oh yeah. Giving us lots of really nice kind of patterning and texture into this grass, which is what we want. Unbelievably, I'm not a massive fan of green, which sounds really weird to say when you're working in a lot of landscapes. But honestly, it's more to do with the fact that there is so much green in landscapes, but you don't always need to deal with it. Right, there's darker sections of this orange on this cut coming down, which I really want to get in. So in here. So let's move that around. Yeah, that's better. This is still drying, hence the reason it's all buckled. So don't worry about it buckling. It will do that. It's not really a problem because it straightens out every single time it dries. So where shall we go next? We need to get back on with these cliffs. I've got two options. I can come in with lots of different things, but there is actually some of this orange on the cliffs, but I'm going to really water it out. I do not want this very strong at all. So I'm just looking to see where there are kind of orangey rusty colours in these cliffs. So like here. Another one here. Like that. There's like a square section here. This goes this way. No, let's stop me doing that. And just spread that out. And this is, well, I'm not sure where that's going, but it's doing its own thing. That I want to pick up and that one pick up. Right, so let's put the charcoal in, or at least a little bit for the minute. And that'll help. That'll give us something that we'll be able to see under certain things. Right, it's starting to look kind of like you're going in the right direction. I know it's always really difficult at this stage because you're like, oh, what do we need to do? What can we do? Well, what I do want is, we've got the Payne's Grey. This is the only Neocolour I've had any issues with. It's a little sticky when it's wet. And honestly, that's just not helpful. I'm not going to do too much because at the moment the paper's still really wet. But yeah, that's kind of what we're going to be doing. Get that in there. Right, I need to let this dry a lot more before I continue, so we will stop here. I will have some lunch and then we will continue. Right, as you can see, I've been working a bit with some of the Neocolours. So I've added some of the dark kind of mossy green colour to the tops of the kind of grassy areas up here and a little bit here and here. And that's just to kind of add some depth and some texture to these areas. And now I'm currently using the grey, this one, and I'm just working in the lighter grey patches into the rock before I start working through the kind of darker colours. There's some browns, so we'll be adding probably this one. It's a reddy brown, and therefore it will work really well with this. And then also my favourite sticky Neocolour, which is the Payne's Grey. If any of you are artists out there and you've used the Neocolour IIs, Payne's Grey is yours sticky. I mean sticky as in, if I touch this, it's sticking to my fingers, and when you're using it on the surface, it feels sticky. It's almost like an oil pastel. I'm trying to keep a lot of what I'm doing with the movements quite fast, just so that I'm not overthinking, spending too much time thinking about where I'm putting it down. I'm just wanting to keep it loose, or at least semi-loose, for what we're doing. So we'll just do that, and then I'll show you, and then taking the brush, dipping it in the water, because that's really all it needs to soak up. So there's the brush, and then I'm just allowing it to wet. I'm brushing down first, and then back up, so that I can pick up a lot of those different colours, especially as, remember, we're going over the top of Gouache and also the violet Neo colour that I've already put down, and it will reactivate it. So it'll pick up other colours, like that just picked up the green because I accidentally touched the green. Not intentional, that one. I do not want green necessarily in the rocks just yet. There is some, and I will be putting some in, but I want to put those in more like scribbles, just to kind of keep it loose, rather than actually go in there and properly kind of carve them out. It just, yeah, haven't got time for that silly nonsense. Don't need to do that for what we're doing with this. So this one's got a lot of lines. I'm trying to work out where that cliff shape is there, because that should come down. It's a really interesting shape, and I'm trying not to lose it on the grounds that it kind of comes slightly out towards us. So make sure I'm getting that going that way. This was wet up here. I think it's still wet slightly because it's resisting this. So we will see. Right, let's get the brush out and we'll get this wet. So we want to do this bit that we added in, bottom here. That's better, right. Continue along this run here, as we kind of blend these into this indigo at the bottom. And we keep the lines going, remember, so we're always brushing up and down or side to side, depending on which direction the layers of the rock are going. So most of the rock on this side of the cliff face is going down, apart from this weird little chunky here, which seems to be going in a different direction.
I would say yes.
So we're just gonna bring it in there. Right. Now, that lot needs to dry before I do anything else and before I tackle the opposite side. So we will come back to that once it's dry. Ava, please don't do that. Come on, out. Come on, cat. Come on, buddy kid. Good girl. Okay, so we've done most of this side. So I'm now going to work the grey into this side. That's a green. That's a green, not a grey. Where's my grey? There's my grey. I also need to peel this one. So if any of you ever noticed, if I hold it up to here, it's easy to see. We've got little arrows and they're little circular sections. I could show you the camera, but I doubt it will focus on it. And that's just like easy peel tabs, supposedly. But I've never found these easy, but I'm just gonna grab the first arrow, which is a little circular piece, and then go around. It's still ripped, but it's exposed this much. Do you know, if any of the team from Karen Dash are actually listening, hello from Scotland, first of all. Secondly, please give me more colours, because I really would love to work with you guys to produce some more colours, because these things are absolutely fantastic. And secondly, these thin stick forms are great for mark making in one form only, and that's like using it like a crayon or pencil. These are fantastic. Why shape them in a single use shape? Unless I peel all the paper off, I can't do huge marks. I can't take the whole stick and go like that. If, for example, they were shorter but wider and more rectangular, so they had edges, like a kind of flat rectangle shape that's probably, I don't know, 5 mil wide, 5 mil deep, so the same depth as this, but that long and rectangular, they would be perfect, because I'd be able to make really beautiful big marks as well as some fine ones by turning it round, just in case any of you guys are listening. Anyway, back to this. Where have we got most of our grey? We've got most of our grey down here in this section here. So I'm just going to reinforce where we're starting from, which is here. And I'll be adding some of the darker colours in anyway. We're going up this way. What's that? Bit of paper. Let's get rid of that. Yeah, where I took those slots out, that's come out really well. Slightly distracted. Right, let's get back to that. So that comes up there, and also along there, like that, which is always good. We want to go up there for a bit, and then we've got a fair bit in this section here. Coolio. Right. So that's the grey on the opposite side. Grand. That's what we want. Right. I want to get some of this green yellow in, and I want to see how dark it's going to come up against what we've got down. So it's not too dark, but it is darker than everything else that's going on. How does it look if I water it out? It should look very yellow green. Problem is, I don't know how well that will actually show. Not too well. Of course, it can be quite a dark colour, so Yeah, no, I like it, I just don't think it'd be very good for up there. So I've got other plans that I can use for up there, so I'm not worried. Plus I'll need some of that anyway. What I do want to do is I want to get some of this brown in. Now I've got a couple of different browns. I'll find them all now. Where are you all? Which is really hard to see the difference between them all. So this is tape up here, so I'll put some up here. So this is the first one. This is the second one. And this is the third one. So this one's more red, this one's just like a mid-brown, and this one's more orangey like rust. So the question is, what colour do I really want to put in here? Do I want to go for something that's a bit more rust coloured? A bit more brown, which is a bit more neutral? No, I don't think so. Or a bit more red to go with the pink tones. The blue, because it's got a little bit more blue in it and it's a bit more closer to the pink tones. I know in the sketch I used the warmer one, so actually let's use the darker one that's got the red tone in it. I just think that's going to be nicer, if you know what I mean. So there's some here going into this kind of grass that we've got going on. So I'm going to get that in there before I start adding it down to what we want. And then it kind of comes in and down. What do you think? Yeah, okay, that's a bit better. I want to get a little bit of it the other side, but it's right the way down the end, the bottom part, so it should be relatively easy to get in. Yeah, it's mostly along these lines, isn't it? Along the bottom sections. It is trying to resist some of where the crayon is, which I'm not really surprised by. But is there any yellow along the other end? There is a little bit along here. That's a bit better, I think. Just got that little bit more yellow, a little bit lighter as well, as we start to bring those other colours through. Good, that's what we wanted to see. Right, I will leave it there because I need a fair bit of that to dry before I can add some of the brown to the other cliff side, and then I want to do a bit more on this grassy bits and also the water before I start coming in there with the charcoal. So, where's the sketchbook? Come here. So let's rearrange this landmass. This needs to come up a wee bit to there and along, and then we need to come up and down a wee bit before this comes up and across, down a little bit. And this is going to go quite high. Yeah, that's not correct, but is that a bit better? I need to bring that way. So I'm going to just colour that in with crayon Sounds very childish, doesn't it? I'm just going to colour it in, like the colouring books. And yes, I do have some adult colouring books, and no, I don't colour them in. I don't know why, I have a few and I don't really use them, and I love them to bits, I just don't get the time to sit there and do them because I'm too busy doing this, which kind of makes sense. I do them off and on, so like when I'm not feeling well and I'm to rest, then I do them. And it's really nice, actually, really calming. Right, let's just ensure we've got some good shapes going on here. Right, so that's actually where the landmass is supposed to be going. I think this is coming out too much, like that. Right, let's wash that out. Probably doesn't look like I've done much actually, which is part of the annoying thing, but the more you work on it, the more kind of the different rock faces start to kind of come out slightly and change. Just a lot of lines going down, so we might have to invent some lines. There probably is lines going up, I just probably haven't included them in the sketch. And the reason is that you don't want to be there spending ages doing loads of lines. This isn't a photorealistic painting. It's more of an impression of what was there, the kind of colours, the brightness, the atmosphere. And for this one, I wanted calm, but at the same time with these bold colours, just to show, you know, how beautiful and how colourful these things are. You know, it's interesting when you see rock formations like this that there is so much colour to them. Yeah, I think the brown works a bit better. It just brings that slightly warmer tone in. The grey isn't cold. It is a kind of mid-warm grey, but it's still not quite balancing how I want it. I mean, that's fine. I'm just going to bring that in there. I feel like we kind of lost the shape of this kind of weird rock shape that we've got here. Like that. It's a little too kind of finely cut, if you know what I mean. So that might be a slightly better shape for it, actually. Let's do that. Yeah, that's a bit better. There's just so much drama going on with these cliffs. That's what I want, drama. I want people to sit there and go, wow, for just the initial look, and then spend a bit more time kind of looking at the details and the lines and the different textures, you know, the different techniques that have gone into this. So we're now coming up to my lunchtime, so I need to have some lunch. So we will stop there and then come back to it afterwards. So I am now going to come in with some of my charcoal. So I've got, this is one of the Creator Colours charcoal pencil. This is a soft, and this is the charcoal stick. This is the compressed stick. I really like their charcoal. I was planning on making some of my own this year, but my lungs have not been up to it. So we will try again soon. So you can see we've got some darker areas already, but nowhere near as dark as it could be. And I'm hoping this is going to be able to do it darker. I've got it on an extender just because I want the marks to be a little bit more fluid. Because at the moment everything's just a little bit squarish and a bit forced. So if I follow this, I'm just allowing the pencil to skip. I'm just following what I did on the sketch with this pencil. So just following this section here. So I need to bring this out slightly and just reshape it slightly along with this edge, and then coming this way. And there's some lines here where it kind of comes off. I need to re-put those in. In fact, if I put it down there, I don't have to keep looking behind me every time. So knot that in. I'm going to really dig there and here, how soft this pencil is. Just adding a little bit of rockage down here. There was a little bit from where we were, but obviously some of these cliff faces, they don't just stop suddenly, they go into the water down, but some of them actually do come back outwards and up slightly, so you end up seeing bits of them peeking through. I'm just going to see if I can do that a little bit better with the actual stick. This is a compressed charcoal stick. I don't know if their pencils are compressed as well. I'm guessing not by how dark that is. Look at the difference. Maybe I'll just switch to this instead, the pencil. It also seems to be going over the Neocolours better as well. We're trying to make sure that we're still going in the right directions, remember? Maybe I'll leave that so it's not as dark. There's a lot of other artists that at this point would be going, right, I'm using ink or something like that, and I like ink, but I get so much more out of charcoal. Just the tonality, the depth. See how much darker that is now. So, lighter in the distance and definitely darker in value coming forward. There's my cloth. So now I've got black fingers. It's getting darker by the minute. Right, while we're looking at this, I'm just going to blend that in a little with my finger. It's looking a little rough. A little bit smoother will help, I think. I also want to look at where the rocks come down into the water. it's looking a little too bold. I think what it really needs is a little bit more of some of it just kind of showing through. And I think the best way for me to do that is also to come in with the darker indigo neo colour that I've got. And it will just look like there's just little bits under the water that you can't see, that's just not quite poking through but is still under there, if you know what I mean. That's supposed to be the darker section there. Those are those lines going that way. That one's got that one there. And then as this comes up, we've got the board's trying to escape from me, stop moving. Now, I'm going to cheat because my husband has bought me a new easel, a main easel, studio easel, to replace this one, as this one's on its last legs, literally. And it arrived a few weeks ago, and it is sitting in its box in the study, and I am not permitted to touch until Christmas. Gutted. So, we will see another unboxing video, but this time of one of Meaden's H stands on wheels. Now, I love their stands. They're super great quality for the price, so I have no complaints over that. So I'm looking forward to that because it will be a lot more stable, and it will also hopefully be a bit easier for me to move around without having to struggle too much. Oh God, somebody with a dog. Let's just darken that bit a little. Now, this bit here is quite dark, so we're just going to bring that out a little, but not too much. Like I said, the sun is hitting this one more than the others because it's on the opposite side to us here. Oh, I want to be careful there that I'm not disappearing into the grasses too much. Should we leave it like that? We'll leave it like that. Right, we'll leave, where's the cloth? Over there. Read a cloth. Okay. Right, that's looking a little bit better. I haven't quite got all my lines that I want, but we're getting there. I could quite easily bring this in and just add some more of the just the wiggly lines and just take out some of the straight lines. But honestly, this cliff face had loads of straight lines on it, so I don't really want to falsify what was already there. Now. In some of these grassy areas, we had lots of kind of lighter patches. You could see dirt patches, you could see stone patches. So we're going to add some of that in. I'm just conscious of this one. I just want to add a little bit of grey in here. Just because there was a little bit of grey here. We've kind of lost some of the lines I need up here to kind of delineate what was going on. So we will get the darker grey out. First of all, we'll just put some more of that grey in first. Yeah, let's get the darker grey a second. And then it's all coming unstuck. Right. Like that. See the line there? Very faint, but it is there. Same with this. Right, let's take a wee nosy backwards. Always step away from your painting to get a distant perspective. It just helps being able to kind of see how the colours are coming across, where the focus is, where is your eye drawn to that it shouldn't be. I'm still being drawn to the top left corner, which means that top left corner is still too light. So I'm going to find a suitable green and see if we can lighten that ever so slightly. Don't know if this will be light enough, we'll see. See what this looks like. No, that's too dark. Where are my lighter greens? Is that lighter one? I can hardly tell with the colours on here. No. Nope. Give me your greens. Well, I have got very light, but it's a bit vibrant. My somewhat neon green, but actually it might offset this a bit more. So let's see how this works. Just touch that in there, I think. And also up here, not much, but just enough. It's going to bring out where we want some of that. So that might help. It should have lightened that nicely. What are we thinking? Yeah, actually, I think that has worked. I'm just going to add a little bit of this over here. Otherwise it will look a little weird that we haven't got it on both sides. And also just help keep this lighter as well. Like that. Let's have a look now. Yeah, that's a bit softer. It does look a little too pastel-y now though. Almost like I've got too much down. So we're just going to blend some of it in, not all of it, but just get rid of a little bit of that texture. Yeah, let's get some here. Maybe a little bit there. Okay. Ow. How am I doing? 3 minutes past 4. Right. I will stop here just because I need to take a break, but we will come back to this very shortly, not in weeks, very shortly. And we will continue working on this one. It is definitely getting there, I think. We'll have to see where we think it's going, but it is definitely getting there. Right, I'm going to bring some of our pale yellow down into the front grasses sections. Not too much, but just little bits here and there until I want to do the lines. I've still got a little bit to do. On the cliffs as well. I think what I might do is go and find one. So I just feel like I haven't got enough pink. Right, I have this, which is a kind of pinky peach colour. It's still not the colour I was looking for. I'm so annoyed at myself that I can't even find the colour that I want. It's hiding somewhere. And it's not back in my tray, and I haven't used it all, so I literally have no idea where it's hiding. No doubt I will find it in a couple of days' time and go, oh look, there it is. I'll be really annoyed by it. Anyway, where's my cloth? There it is, right. So we'll use this peachy colour. It is a neutral, so it's got a little bit of grey in it, but I just need to lighten up the distant parts. So I'm not doing much, it doesn't take much to get this down. Yeah, see how the grasses are suddenly framing what we're doing, which is good. I need a little bit of a darker colour. I'm thinking something a little bit, how colour is that? Oh, it's a red brown. Let's do that. We don't want a lot of it though. So this is a Conte, it's a hard pastel, and a lot smaller, a lot thinner than anything I use, normally anyway. But they are particularly good for what we're doing here. We'll try and get some of the smaller grasses in at the bottom here. Right, let's grab a step back, see where we're at. Yeah, I think I need to tie in a little bit of that luminous green. I just don't feel like I don't have a lot of it, and I don't need much. I think mostly down here will be better. Right, it's a little bit lighter on the grass colours. I'm not throwing it on the floor. Come on. Yeah, there's not much of it there, but there's just enough, I think, to create what I want. And now all these beautiful little white flowers kind of dotted in amongst the grasses. So that's what we're going to chuck in now. I'm just going to clean up the pastel though before I use it. So this is my big and chunky unison. This is the blue white. She looks white, but it is blue white. I'm just literally just dabbing it on. I'm not interested in like flowers. I'm not interested in just kind of painting flowers. I just want them to kind of be there like there is some. And for our sake, it's more kind of here and there. Same on this side. There's just not as many. Beautiful. Also want to maybe add a little bit of this in down here. Not much though. Just get a little bit of light, a little bit lighter on this side. Just add some of this blue white in up here. It just takes away the slight yellower tone that's in the paper, because a lot of that is just gappage. Gappage, is that a word? It is now. How's that? It's a bit better. Right, let's take a step back. Yeah, I think I just need to lighten this slightly. This is the bit that's furthest away. I kind of want it slightly lighter, so it just pushes it back a wee bit into the distance. Same with the tower section here. Right, let's have a look. Am I losing too much definition? Possibly. These are our seagulls. Right, I think we're going to probably call that done. I don't want to do too much because I'll just keep faffing with it, so we'll call that done. Let's take the tape off. Take this bottom one off, this is additional. Sides first as usual. To consider whether I should use a heat gun. It seems to be coming off all right. Weird lump there. I'm taking everything off now. Oh, yes. Thank you. Oh, there we go. One side. Take the other one off. Pulling at the paper a little bit, but not too much. It's actually pretty good considering I did very little prep work for this. Right. Are you guys still paying attention? Good. I'll take the bottom off. We are ripping a little on the bottom, but the bottom's always the bit that has the harshest treatment, so, and bear in mind this has buckled slightly, but not a lot, and actually I can probably lay this flat and steam the back of it. So let's unclip and move the light a minute. You just sit over there and we will get this, try to take this off without causing too much chaos. Oh, yeah, it's escaping. That's fine, it can escape for the minute. Right, let's take that there, and we will just use two little bits to hold it in the corners up a bit so we can see it better. There's one. This probably won't hold for long, but that's fine. There's the other. And let's straighten you out, thank you, and put you back in the middle again. Right, and there it is. Suddenly looking a lot better without all the tape and everything else on it. So let's take you in for a more straight and closer look. Come here, camera. There we go. Oh, there. And there it is. Bear in mind the size of this is on my big piece of board, so this is a big piece. Not quite a metre by 70. It's 70 wide, but I did shorten it, so probably 70 by 90. So let's go in for a little bit of detail. So you can see that's where the birds are at the end, and then the stack and the fingers. Then we've got the grass. You can see the detail on the rocks there. And we come down, there's our grass and across. You can see all the different colours and tones coming through. Again, as we come up, the different colours, and then we'll come back out so you can see it again. And there it is, folks. So hopefully you've enjoyed this one. I know it's been a bit lengthy, but there's been a lot to it, and I will see you all for another soon. Ta-ta for now.